Guitar jamming with others doesn't have to be so hard and so confusing. In today's lesson, I'm going to help you decide how to find the right person to jam with, and also how to make it work when you do find that person, and where to find these types of people. So stay tuned till the end. My name's Dave. I'm from the schoolofguitar.com. I put up guitar lessons a lot of the time. Could be more consistent at times, but working on it. But I basically teach off my whiteboard. I have my board here today, and I have my guitar. So please send questions underneath below, and I'll answer them as I get to them. So the first things first. Guitar jamming with others. The very first thing you got to do is to build your base. So what I mean by build your base is, I'm specifically talking about your baseline of playing. So what chords do you know? Because here's the thing, jamming with others, it's kind of like online dating in a way. It's like we each have our profiles. You put up your interests, your hobbies, things like that, some of our achievements. Now on guitar, of course, you won't set up your profile and be like, I like walks in the woods, I like this and that. No, you're going to look and go, what chords do I know? What techniques do I know? Like if you're a guitar player who's into sweep picking, and if you're a guitar player right now watching this that's like, what sweep picking? The two of you mightn't be the best match for jamming. So you basically look at your technique. That could be things like, what strum patterns do you know? And then we get onto our strums. Now as for your chords, you could think about, just list them out. And then you have your songs. What songs do you know? Songs are the key thing here to touch in on. Because saying you know a song instantly communicates everything else that we just talked about. But the finer details matter too. So let's say if I'm a guitar player who knows Knocking on Heaven's Door. Well, what that means is that's basically telling you that I know G, D, A minor, C, and I can do a nice little simple strum pattern. And maybe I sing and play. So the very first step, you build your base. It's like an online profile. You basically write out what songs you know, write out some of the chords you know, and write out some of the strum patterns that you're able to play. Now when you've got all that, your next step, I don't know how I ended up with BYB and PYP. So pick your partner. Okay. To the best of my knowledge, there isn't a guitar app that works like a dating app where you put up your profile and you match with people. I don't think so. If anyone's out there, invent it. I think it'd be good. And when it comes to picking your jamming partner, you may have somebody already in mind. You may have a friend that you know plays already. You may have seen an associate that you know is friendly and that you could say, hey, can we play a song or two together? Or you could join in a friendly open jam session. So we have all these options. So we have friends. Family come in this too. We have friends, we have family. We have jam sessions. They'd work. And maybe if you go to a jam session, you could actually look at it and go, well, hold on. Let's say Mike was playing at the jam session. He played some songs I know. He might be a good person to go and ask. You know, you could approach it that way too. Go into the group settings and pull out people to jam with one by one then. So you've built your base, and this will forever expand. You have your songs. You pick your partner. You think of people you know already. You could think of family. You could think of jam sessions. So then, when you go to pick your partner and you have the base built, the last thing is to sort your set list. What do I mean by sort your set list? Well, basically, some players could have a list a mile long like this, and they can meet up with another player like this. Instantly, you can see that there's a bit of a mismatch. Like, we're looking for this amount of commonality between both players. This is where building your base, the homework of it, comes into effect. We've two players. We've Mike and we have John. Okay, Mike and John. I'll just make up names. And Mike and John go to meet up and play guitar together. Songs, they come to the jam together with their list of common songs, with what chords they share in common. Think of all the work you'd have done yourself on certain chords, on G, C and D. And think of how it feels if somebody says, will you jam with me on this song? It's G, E minor, C and D. Versus if they say to you, will you jam on this song? It's F sharp minor, D minor, A minor and E sus4. It's like, what, and what? if you're not in the know about those chords. Instantly, it's like the strum pattern won't matter, the length of the song won't matter, singing and playing won't matter. You'll be in survival mode trying to find the chords. So, for simplicity's sake, look for the songs you have in common. That's the first thing. If you have a song in common, I would go with that. Number 2, look for your chords in common. Let's just say the two players meet up and they don't have songs in common. The very next thing to go for are what chords do you both know and what songs contain those chords for each of you. The third thing then is strum pattern in common. Grabbing my guitar. So, could you imagine if we were jamming right now and we'll say you're around the beginning, intermediate stage, and I said to you, hey, the chords of this song go G, there's a D, there's a C. You might be looking going, great, thank God, okay, I can jam with this. And then I hit into the song and I go, moving. All the chords keep moving. So, the deeper level to this is when you have the chords in common, the next thing to watch is that the chord lengths longer the better. So G, 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 C is better than going G, C, D, C, D, G. There's too much movement. There's too much happening all at once. You want to set a steady base and build on it from there. And finally then, we have a bonus item, a fourth. It's do your homework. So, what do I mean by that? If we picture you're jamming as a playing field, and we say that, sure enough, you are learning stuff, like the way you would in a match, but this is where a lot of the performance happens. And then you go home and you train. That's your practice. So after you've jammed with the person, that's your chance to go home. I remember a long time ago, it's 2011 I think, I was doing a gig and I decided I was going to get all in on playing live guitar, and I was going to gig and become like just at the time I was thinking about finishing up teaching, and I was like, I'm going to finish teaching, I'm going to gig guitar. And part of my thing of taking it seriously was I was going to keep a journal, and after each gig I'd write down what could I have done better. Now keep in mind what I could have done better, not what anybody else could. That's out of my control. I can influence it, you can influence it, you can mention things, but at the end of the day, when you go home to practice, you're not going to sit in the corner and put out good vibes that the other person's going to practice loads as well. You're going to just focus on your own. And the questions I'd ask myself would be, what went well? That's the first thing. Acknowledge the good. Gather the good. The second thing in a jam to ask yourself afterwards is, what could be improved? The third thing is, what could I stop doing? And the fourth thing then there was a fourth one, do less of something. So, for example, if you played a lot of songs with A, D, and E in your jam and you're like, oh, it's starting to all sound the same, do less of it. So, to recap today's lesson, let's have a quick look through. We said first step to guitar jamming with others is to build your bass. That's to make sure you have the practice put in, that you feel relatively ready for it. So you have your chords, your technique, and your strum patterns. And to make a list of the songs that you know, because a song can say so much at once. The second thing then is to go on the hunt for a jamming partner. Pick your partner. You could look in your immediate circle of friends, there could be family and jam sessions, and you don't need to know the person extremely well. You'll find that it might feel a bit awkward at first, but a jam session can feel awkward between two friends, let alone two relative strangers. The music connects us, right? So, third thing is to sort your set list. Go back through it. If they have a super long one and yours is short, or vice versa, you've really got to dig down to where you share things in common. And that's where you look for your songs in common first of all. And then after you've exhausted that, or you don't have songs in common, go for chords in common. What chords do you both know in those songs? Then let's say you've established some idea of some songs here or chords you have in common in different songs of yours. Check what the strum patterns are like, because a strum pattern can still make something extremely tricky. A little bonus pointer, the longer the chord lengths, the better it will be for you to ground in what you're doing. G, 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 C, bit of time to think about it, versus change, next thing. It's just your head would spin. And finally, do your homework. The jam is like a performance. It's like you're on the pitch playing a match. You're on the field. You're performing, you're playing, you're doing your best, but then there comes a time to go someplace and ask yourself those questions. What can I improve on? What can I do more of? What can I do less of? What am I going to stop doing? And then get to training, put that in your practice plan, and pencil in the next jam date after the previous one. Again, to kind of use that example of dating, if you'd gone on a date with somebody and you're both like, oh, I must do this again, and nobody kind of says anything, the other's left wondering, going, oh, did I say something? Did they say something? You know, guitarists go through that too. It's like they're at home going, geez, maybe they don't want to jam with me. All that doubt stuff creeps in. So, pencil in the next jam. If you both feel the vibe and you both feel like jamming again together, pencil it in. Hey, thanks so much for watching. My name is Dave from the School of Guitar. I really hope you've enjoyed this lesson. If you would like to keep up to date for future lessons, you know what to do. Okay, so, and if you do want to keep an eye out, I do have a membership opening soon again for enrollment. And there's a whole load of stuff in the membership. My God, there's a lot of stuff to help you transform your playing and your playing life. So, I'm going to leave you there for today, and I'll see you in the next lesson. Thanks for watching.